I talk to everyone. Because conversation is the most powerful thing today. I don't whitewash anything. I don't humiliate people. I don't run away from tough topics, but I don't live only for them either. It doesn't matter if someone is a politician, an artist, or a businessman. Everyone who appears on Total TV plays by the same rules. Today you might hear someone you love. Tomorrow, someone you can't stand. And I do everything I can so you truly get to know that person.
Hi, I'm Leticia Padilla, founder of Real Finance Group. Join me on Total TV as I share how we help businesses and families build real financial strength. Watch the live interview Monday.
Parinda Berchtold, the host of this interview, is embarking on a YouTube journey with the program The New Identity, supported by Pure Experts, a provider of amazing new solutions for entrepreneurs.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the New Identity channels. So today's I have a guest, Leticia, to be share the story with me. So the niche channel is about the place to share the story. I get to know global entrepreneur, them got to know their story and share their story to reach out to many people, and also a place that transform the ordinary people to extraordinary. Let's welcome Leticia here. Thank you so much for coming to my show.
Thank you, Parinda. Thank
Yeah.
you. What a warm welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
So yes, and yes, we've been know each other. I don't remember how many times we met.
Yeah, a few times. I
Few
think
times.
over the last year and a half or so.
Yes. Okay. So before we start, and thank you so much for being, since I know you, you kind of prove the the experience that I have toward the Latina woman, because when I first came to United States, and then I study in the school, kind of like vocational school in California, and I was in the class with all Latina or Mexican or like kind of different nationality. I'm the only Asian in that class. I don't know. It always happen like that. Same thing. I have another class about speaking class, and my professor. I'm the only one who not born in United States and from another country, and then I put myself in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
So when I'm in that class, it's like we take an exam, and then all those ladies. So I'm sorry, this is just my experience that I have, and then and then so when I have the exam, and they pass down the paper. When come to me, and that lady was like skipping, and obviously not one time, many times I said, what's going on? And then back then I'm so shy, I'm like, and I start that story in back, like the impression in United States with different nationality. And then I said, oh my god, what a story I have taught Latina women that have, or like. And now I met you, and then I said, oh my God, have I learned from a friend, some people, hey, keep your mind open, because over and over, not only one place, not different situation, same thing. I face the same story. That's why maybe the energy that I'm carrying. So after I met you, it's kind of change the story. So yeah, tell me about yourself so people can get to know you more, what you do.
Sure. So I'm an accountant by trade. I have been in accounting and financial management for over 25 years, going on my 27th year now.
Mhm.
And so a little bit about my background. I came to the United States when I was a baby, and with my 6 brothers and sisters.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
And my mom and my family crossed over the border in 1974.
Mm.
Yeah, in 1974.
Okay.
And so we moved to Chicago, directly to Chicago, like
Mm.
yourself. And we already had family here. Well, on my dad's side, and we came and we stayed here for a while. It was early 70s, so it was a a very um, trying times for immigrants,
Mm.
and you know, trying to find a place to live, affordable place to live, try to go to school, and kind of find work. So my mom tried finding work, and she received a lot of challenges at work and us in school.
Mm.
We moved to a little village.
Okay.
I'm sure you are familiar with that by Pilsen. And we grew up in Pilsen and stayed there for up until I was an adult.
Okay. What year that when you came? Like what age?
What
Like come?
age?
You
I
remember?
was 6 months old.
Oh
I was six
wow.
months old.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was the baby, but then one of my sisters was born here after a year
Mm.
after we moved to United States.
Yeah, you literally pretty much like kind of almost born here, just except like because 6 months, you like that's the baby stage, like start everything here, except your mom like gave birth to you in Mexico and then just carry you. Wow, it's very young. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't born here. I was born in Mexico.
Mm.
I grew up here in a poor neighborhood.
Mm.
We had no benefits. We didn't get any help from anybody.
Mhm.
We didn't know anybody. We didn't have any friends. We struggled very
Oh,
badly.
okay.
We faced a lot of racism
Mm.
and hatred. Um, and a lot of us don't go through that when they're growing up.
Mm.
So, growing up, you already have the stigma.
Mm.
Growing up in the early 70s, 80s, and if someone would grow up now, it's still a stigma of the um, some of the what do you call it, stereotypes.
Yeah, right.
And
Sure,
so
sure.
growing up with all those stereotypes, I always try to prove them
Mhm.
opposite.
Right.
And that's why I stayed in school and I worked and I learned my language. I learned English
Sure, sure.
in school. I grew up in the workforce as a
Mhm.
teenager, working at 15. I was not allowed to speak Spanish anywhere.
Oh
So it
wow.
was always very hard to practice both
Mhm.
languages. And being at work and working in retail, working in the office,
Sure, sure.
I always knew there was a hush hush because
Mhm.
we would get in trouble. But now, we always encourage everyone to speak Spanish because we don't want our new generation to grow up not knowing their own language.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So now it's completely opposite. And so over the years, working in nonprofits,
Mhm.
I've worked with Latino-based organizations, or other races that have their own organizations with different languages. So I've learned to speak a lot better in Spanish
Mm.
through my organizations.
Wow. Yes. Thank you for sharing. So that the story that you mentioned about this stereotype. Sorry.
Stereotypes, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Like for me, I feel like someone who come from another countries, and for me, when I came to United States, I don't have the stereotype, like this girl, like racism or like something like this. But for me, I through my best experience, and then from that the school, and then I kept it
Sure.
in. People from another country, of course, they feel that.
Yeah.
And now, like when you said you try to prove or them wrong, and then for me, like even though I have that experience, never stop to believe it. Of course there are way good people.
Right. It's really difficult to generalize everybody, a
Mm.
whole group of people
Yeah,
from one experience.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so it's very a conservative way of thinking,
Mhm.
and very, I want to say old fashioned, but I hate saying that word.
Yes, yes.
But it's very mind limited, and it limits, and it's very narrow minded,
Right.
because everyone's different, everyone's unique.
Yes. And also I have the same belief, when back then. So, first experience doesn't mean, can, point out or identify, okay, you're gonna have that kind of experience all the time. It's our energy have to change it, to the belief, like because I met a lot of people who been just one experience, and then they kind oh no, not anymore, I have that experience. So same thing, someone travel to Mexico just one time, first time, or and then faced with the bad experience, and they said, oh, I don't like that. No, it doesn't mean like, maybe that you been in the wrong time, not the
Mm-hmm.
time that it maybe is more beautiful place, more beautiful people out there. Just same thing with, I used to work as a babysitter, like, when I came here, stay with American family, and then my part-time job, and then I'm doing like nanny. And some of the family, they believe, oh, my kid don't like it, and then don't like this kind of food, that food. And I said, yeah, one time doesn't make the kid like, okay, you cannot say to your kid, oh, he doesn't like it. You have to keep him or her, the boy, trying, or the girl, like, try the food until they might the first time, maybe something new. That's why they said, oh, I don't like it. But if you keep reintroducing
Mm-hmm.
like those kind of like experience, so it become, oh yes, I have to be more open, keep trying.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's go to the next question. So, um, s- as a girl or woman, I have learned, when we choose our partner. So, you know, um, so we tend to like look after, like, use the from our father. What did the relationship? How is your relationship with your father, if you remember? Like,
Well, I grew up without a father. I don't have a father.
I don't have.
I grew up with my mom. She was a single mom when she came to the United States.
Okay,
So she
okay,
got
yeah.
divorced. We grew up with my mom ever since I was 6 years old.
Okay. So yes, okay.
But to
Sorry
answer your
about.
question, I was um, so I guess you want to know how I chose my partner, my
Yes,
husband.
yes, yes.
So I mean, just like anybody else, is finding somebody who you're happy with, who you feel safe, who you
Mm-hmm.
feel um, that you have a good connection, love and respect,
Mm-hmm.
um, and supporting each other.
Right. So we have the similar kind of related background, like, when we
Hmm.
discuss about we going through like unhealthy relationship. So what was is like, can you like to how after that unhealthy relationship that you have, and then you met your partner now. So
Yep.
what can build your confidence, like to trust that person, to be in relationship again, how you do that?
Sure. So in the book that I wrote, I tell my story about my first marriage and how and why I got a divorce, um, and it was a difficult situation, and decided to leave the marriage, um, and I understood. Several years I took several years to come to terms with what happened. I blamed myself, but it was really easy to realize that that was not true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but I spent several years after the divorce analyzing, because us accountants analyze
Mm-hmm.
everything, um, and what went wrong. And obviously, it starts from the beginning, and it starts from you, because you you have intuition, you have a gut feeling about everything.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be happy so badly, we want to believe in love, that we ignore the red flags.
Right.
um, and I did that. I ignored all the red flags, I didn't follow my intuition, and I married the wrong person, um, obviously. And part of me told me that something was wrong, but I thought that maybe, it was too late, it's too,
Mm-hmm.
we already got married, and we'll try to make it work. So yeah, I spent the first 5 years forcing myself to make the marriage work.
Mm-hmm.
But after my sister's death that I mentioned in my book, I realized that it wasn't had nothing to do with that, and it was unreconcilable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I decided to leave, and realized that healing was going to be my next journey. And so building confidence in what? Um, Confidence that I can love again. I knew I could do that. It was easy. Trusting somebody, I could trust somebody, and that person wasn't going to control my future. So it was really just about healing and making space for myself and forgiving myself and um, just being gentle with the past and moving forward.
Okay, yeah. Yes, because the question that I asked why, because so many people been through unhealthy relationship, and then after they got out, they said, no more, I don't want to be in married anymore. They kind of like still like keep living with that past experience. So that why they cannot get into the next relationship. So as for example, with me,
Well,
yeah,
that's kind of sometimes that could be a trauma effect, a
right,
trauma response on, fear.
right.
So you're too scared to move to do the same thing. You're not gonna, so we learn, we're human and we learn by mistakes, and our emotions always dictate what you're
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah, yeah,
next.
yes.
So if you're hurt, you're not gonna keep burning your hand after you burned it the first time. You're
Right.
not gonna say, ouch, that hurt, and oh, let me put it back again. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna do that. And that's your first thing. But it's so common, it's very normal, and it's okay to feel that way because I did. I felt like that's it. I'm not going to marry anybody. I'm not going to date. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But that was because I was still hurt.
Right.
You can't make decisions when you're hurt. You can't make decisions when you're angry, when you're resented.
Mm.
Um, it's very difficult. But at that moment, when you're in it, you're knee deep in the mud of the issue, you can't make those clear decisions. So healing yourself first before you move forward with any decision
Right,
is
right,
key.
yeah. Sure,
So
sure. Yes, that why like some I know in life like we meant to like as a woman, as a human, we need
yeah.
companion. I see like a lot of people that I met here, or even some people like asking, okay, how can I find my companion, my partner? When people always say, if you still hurt, you're gonna end up the same story that what you have. So same thing with me, with my husband now, and many time at the beginning. So we kind of have this the story of when I'm the person like when something pop up, oh, it's a red flag, I need to get out now. Just
Mm-hmm.
like when I mentioned in my episode about, okay, when you go through some story, either from my dad, my family, or even someone that I've been experienced, like with the unhealthy relationship, bad experience, I said
Mm-hmm.
I create a wall to me. So okay, create the wall and then said, oh, this is the red flag. So I don't want to deal with it. But my husband tell me, oh, you have to work on it, go through it with that, that red flag that you have. So to see like you have to look beyond because everyone different. Yeah. So that's why I'm asking. And yeah, let move to the next. So um about like like same thing, probably you said when you were young you've been through the life, racism, or go through the tough time with your mom, a single mom. And I'm sure with those can lower your confidence. How you build your confidence in yourself?
Mm-hmm. What lowered my? I'm sorry.
Like
What lowered my confidence?
yeah, a lot of people, when you've been through so many
Uh-huh.
situation, and then those kind of thing can cause you like insecure or not confident, not believe in yourself. How you go through like build your confidence?
Well, I don't think that was something happened that lowered my confidence. My mom didn't do anything to lower my confidence.
I mean, in any situation, like at the school, or any experience, bad experience that you have.
Well, I think so. I guess it was just part of growing up.
Mm,
Growing up in an area where there was no support,
no
no
support,
support
okay.
system. There was no new information coming in because Like I said, we were growing up. It was we were pretty much isolated from the world.
Right,
As
right.
immigrants, you don't really invite outsiders because
Okay.
it's not something that you go out and start networking
Networking.
about.
Okay.
So you have your family and you have your neighbors. That's pretty much all you have. So there was nothing for me to gauge what my opportunities would be. It was
Okay.
whatever was my environment. That's what I thought my future would be.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
understand
I
that?
got it
So
now. Yeah.
sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah. Now I remember when you shared the story with me about it's kind of can be related when you about like have the healing journey with Carolyn, right? And then you said kind of skeptical. Like at the beginning you said, oh, should I go? Should I
Yeah,
not go?
so
Like
that was so that came from um I guess just lack of understanding, maybe a different version of what it could be, what my vision can be. Ever since I was a kid, I was very imaginative. So I imagine a lot of things. In my head, I would imagine stories,
okay.
fantasies, just creating different things out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, the opportunity was, I felt limited because coming to the United States as a kid, we grew up thinking that we didn't deserve certain things because we didn't belong there,
Right,
apparently.
right, sure, sure,
You know
sure.
what I mean? So feeling the I don't belong here,
Okay.
because everybody kept on reminding me that I don't
Mhm.
belong here,
Okay.
was almost like, well, I don't get to go to college. We would see TV. How come they go to college? They have a car. They have a big house. How come I don't have that? So it was all these questions that I was asking as I was growing up, from a little kid to teenage years, where if they could do it, I could do it.
Right.
I kept on putting two and two together. And so the problem was I would see that in stories, on TV, on the newspapers, on magazines, but I never knew someone one on one who had accomplished anything. I had not a mentor. I had not someone to create a path for me or guide me through my opportunities. I didn't have that. The only closest thing that I came to was a teacher or a coach, or maybe somebody that I met in a neighbor, or the grocery store owner. That was it. That was my environment. But it was everything was always in disguise unless I dug into it and I was curious about it. So my curiosity is what got me asking those questions.
Oh, okay.
How come I don't have that opportunity? I want to do it. So when I first told my mom, when I think I was 16 or 17, I said, oh, I want to go to college too. I want to go to college. And she said, well, then I'll have to get a second job, or a third job, because she already had two. So, I'll get another job, she says. And that gave me encouragement that, oh, so if she believes that I can go, then, and she's going to help me, whether she's going to sacrifice her time and labor for it, then she's giving me the, okay, you could do it kind of thing.
Wow.
So I kind of started that way.
That's a beautiful, yes. So yeah, being like, from outsider, I would say immigrant. So being an immigrant, and then when you come to the new countries, yes, of course, definitely we feel like we don't belong here, at the beginning. Like for me, so when I come here, it's kind of, I don't feel like I don't belong here, but I feel like I'm still fighting my space, my place. So yes, definitely Chicago choose me,
Right, I
not
heard, yeah.
I like choose me, like those family pop up, I select Chicago. And then, I moved to California, San Diego for 5 years and study and live there. Still it's not my place. And then I moved back to Chicago, and so learn more about Chicago, many story in Chicago. So now I start to feel more connection
Yeah.
here in Chicago. And then again, life happened. So I decided to move to Qatar. That when I moved back, that's when I choose Chicago. This is my home. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes. So um as you know, like share the story like we both CEO and founder, founder company. And can you share me the story when if you can remember from build a business from the ground up, what it looked like. So when people who want to start the business, so they can understand what the challenge, what they should do or make decision, what to do. Yes.
What the challenge was?
Like any challenge, when you build anything
Yeah.
from the ground up, from the scratch.
So
like
my
when from-
challenge, so my challenge was actually getting the business started was really just comes from an idea
Mm,
and the need for it, and I just took it from there. The real challenge was really growing it. What do I mean by growing? Is just kicking off.
okay.
Kicking it off to say, all right, this could be something, and that's not an overnight thing. That
Right,
takes
right.
sometimes 1 to 3 years, 1 to 5 years, and so that's because you're going through a learning curve. You're going through the learning curve of being your own boss, being growing the discipline,
Okay.
understanding the structure of how your business needs to be, right, regardless of what kind of industry you're in. Um, time management, money, cash flow, and managing the spending and the money coming in. Um, budgeting is um, really just not there when you start.
Right.
So it's whatever you have coming in, it goes right out.
Right.
Um, having your first client is super important because the first few clients that you have, you're just taking everybody comes in through the door. You're taking everybody because you want the money coming in, you want to pay the expenses, you want to grow. And sometimes that's the only way to go when you're starting out. But the challenge is um, getting the right client. And you won't have that until after you
Right.
got you have the peace of mind of and in cash to be able to decide this is the client I want, this is not the client I want.
Right.
But if you're keeping a client because just for the money and that's not your typical client,
Sure.
then you already know you're not at scaling level.
Mm.
Because once you start only taking the clients you want, that's when you know, all right, this is going to move faster, it's going to move better, it's going to be more intentional. And so that's when you're going to start bringing in, or your own clients will be finding you. Um, so that was the main challenge. The second challenge really is building a really good process, a workflow with your team, building the team, and then really just branding yourself because when you first start a business, it's all about branding.
Right.
You want to put your name out there. You want to be the face of your brand, and no one teaches you that. The people who teach you are the contractors you hire. You hire a photographer. She teaches you how to brand yourself. You hire a social media person. They teach you what to say, what not to say, how to say it, and how to word it. Um, you hire an IT person. They teach you about security. You don't know all these things. Where you're going to be learning it is when you hire the people to help you. So you can't do everything yourself. You're going to wear 10, 12 hats in the beginning of your starting your business, but you can't continue doing that in the long run because in the short run it's going to become messy and it's going to cost more later.
Right, right. Okay, so that's a great information. So you mean how long if you remember how long it take before the business take off? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So because we filed the company at the same time in
Yeah,
2021, yes.
I think I'm going to say I'm my third year.
Of your third year
My
too.
third year. Yeah. And I think it all depends on, I don't even know because I haven't compared myself with anybody else because everyone else has a different criteria of who they want to work with, how you're providing that service and when you're providing that service.
Mm.
I didn't want to, when I started off, I started it as a side gig, just taking side clients for
Mm.
taxes
Okay.
or
I see.
just bookkeeping. But then shortly the demand became a lot more and it just became full time real right away. So then the third year, I think it was my clients were getting bigger and more demanding.
Mm.
And since I was doing it full time, I was able to, my capacity grew a lot. I was able to manage my own time. I was able to start figuring out, okay, this is going to be, how I want to price things out. You need your price package so you can create your own budget so you can estimate how much you're going to pay. And that's my accounting person talking inside me. Um, but really, just to figure out how much of your time can go to your business, how
Okay.
many people in your team you're going to need to provide the number of clients that you want.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. As you are experting in accounting and finance, right? So you mean when when people want to start business, it should be start as a psychic and first, or like if somebody want to say, because now a lot of people said, I'm tired of my job, I want to shift
Yeah,
to
that's
business
interesting that you
world.
bring that up
Yes, yeah.
because I noticed that. Okay,
Yeah.
so I did get a lot of solopreneurs who were having their 9 to 5 job, but wanted to start a business on a completely different thing that they
Right.
were experts in.
Sure.
So I would worry about that because um, I guess somebody, you could say, for example, if somebody was working in a bank, I don't know, or at a library, but they want to become a coach, and they're doing their own coaching, but they're not certified. They don't have anything to go on. They haven't had one client. They've only been coaching with their friends.
Right.
And that's a good start. So I always ask them because, when I set up a startup and I work with all the journal stuff that goes into it, I want to make sure that they understand where their money is going to come from. Okay, so how many clients? What are you going to client? What is the demand? So what is your demand on your coaching? Do you have something running already? So for example, like the show, the Shark Tank, right? What do they always ask? How many sales have you made this year?
Okay, that's
That's telling the shark
Mhm.
that they already got their operations going,
Okay,
that
yes.
they have a good product or a good service, and that they're in demand. So somebody who's in a 9 to 5 and they have a side gig, how long was the side gig a side gig? And did the side gig start small and it's already too much to control that you need to create a big a company? So if that's the case, then you have something. You have an idea that you can definitely turn into a business. But if it's the other way around, you're going to struggle for a long time. Meaning, find your client base, not just one client, but who is going to be your client and is the demand out there? You might want to network a little bit and find out what people are really looking for.
Okay, that's a
You know?
great gateway to look at, and yes, definitely to, yes, you start a business as psychic. For me, just like
Well, it
from
wasn't a side gig.
yeah,
I was doing the work
yeah,
for 30
yeah,
years.
yeah, sure,
I
sure,
was doing the work for 30 years. 20 of those were nonprofits and the others were corporate, but I was doing the work.
right, sure.
Uh, I was taking side clients.
Side client, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
not a
yes.
side
Like
gig, but
yes, yes, yes.
it was just side clients,
Side
extra
client, what
clients.
you already expert. So
Right,
is it
right.
when you start your own, so you start with something you already know.
Right,
It's
right.
make you easier when you like jumping from from my
Yeah.
episode, like I'm from like what's it called, like healthcare, and then I start completely shift to my business. But for me, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, like I love selling, I love doing things. So that why it's like, for some people who don't have a business background or don't have entrepreneurial or even want to start
Yeah.
something new, it's better to start, like you mentioned, is something that they
I mean,
already
you need
know.
a background on what you're gonna sell.
Yes.
I've known of multipreneurs who have different industries under their belt. Like they open 5 companies, but they're all different.
Right.
You know, and see which one sticks. That's the
Right.
idea.
Yes.
So how reliable can a client be on that business if they're
Mhm.
only doing it just to hire somebody and do it, That but that owner is really not invested in it.
Right. Okay.
So it's to me, if I were to hire that company and the owner's not invested and it's just somebody who was hiring to hire,
Mhm.
um, to me that wasn't. It's more like a facade of something else.
Mhm.
So it's just more of the quality and the service and the performance that you want to give to your clients. I mean, what's your model? What's your mission? Um, so I just get very worried when there's no background or knowledge behind the service or the product knowledge that you
Mhm.
have. So if you're selling a product like you are, you understand it, you can teach it, you
Yeah.
can explain it, you can break it down,
Mhm.
so
So okay. So how you find client, like what you like you're looking and how you know this the right fit for you.
how do I know when they're a good fit?
Mhm.
So I always look for partnerships in my clients.
Okay.
It's not necessarily just to serve them their needs, because what I do is not a black and white type of service. Is supporting the owner, the business person, the president, the CEO, the executive director, in a nonprofit. In this case, would be the board and the CEO. So it's supporting the whole firm, the whole company, the whole organization,
Mm.
not necessarily just the actual accounting books or
Mm.
the financials, because if you can understand how money flows through a business, it touches everything.
Mm.
It touches your marketing, it touches your sales, your equipment, your building, your facilities. It touches your employees, your wages, your subscriptions. It touches everything.
Mm.
So the partnership of the decision making, when you're making those type of decisions and operations of a company, um, is where I fit in. And so a entrepreneur or a business owner understanding that that's the help that they need from
Mm.
someone like me, that would be a partnership, and
Mm.
that would be the client that would be a good fit.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And like, you are in the financial industry, like you expert, and you provide financial service, and these two people you help client. What are the common mistake that people make, and in the business that you look it up? And for me, so about my business, when I remember I look back and about my dad teach me how to make money. He focused to teach me how to manage it.
Hmm.
So in term of like accounting, what's it your advice for what's a common mistake that people did in the business?
People or business owners?
Business owner, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's funny. It can kind of interact both ways. It can go either individual or even a business owner. Um, like you mentioned, in the education system here doesn't really teach you how to manage money. They don't teach you how to invest or
Mm.
how to really. No one balances a checkbook anymore. And in those days, at least you understood what your bottom line was in a
Mm.
household. But today, with the debit card and credit cards, was that ruined everything for a lot of households, because they put everything on credit and they didn't really realize how much they were spending,
Mm.
opposed to how much money was coming in. So that was really the downfall in a lot of American homes. Secondly, the most common mistake in a business owner are two things.
Mm.
They manage their business like they would manage their home
Oh, okay.
finances.
Yeah.
They they commingle business and personal expenses and
Uh-huh.
stuff, but then they manage the expenses and the money coming in, and they spend it as they need it, not necessarily when they should.
Mm-hmm.
Do they really need it? Yes, I need it. I want it. No, you don't. It could wait, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's priority, because they don't see the business as an investment, they'll see it as just keeping the lights on type of deal.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The second mistake is doing their own accounting books.
Right.
That's the biggest mistake that a lot of business owners do. They think they can do it on their own. I've met so 100 million people telling me, "Oh, I do it myself. I could do it. I can figure it out." No, because then my the overall my clients are people who need me to clean up their books because
Mhm.
they were doing their own books.
Okay.
They're like, "Oh, Letty, I messed this up. Can you clean it up?" Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
most of the time the
They,
problem happen when
yeah.
people said, "Okay,
I mean, try doing your own plumbing. Let me know how
yeah,
that goes. You
okay,"
know,
and then
it's
you,
the same thing.
yes, yes,
It's the
yes,
exact same thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
That the same, like they said, okay, the expert come in to fix your
Yeah.
mess instead like
Right.
fix just simple problem. You
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
big mess, and then yes.
Yeah. And what happens is that people who think they can do their own accounting books is they can get away with it for a year,
Hmm.
maybe two if they don't tell anybody,
Okay,
maybe three if they really don't tell anybody. But then the IRS starts knocking at your door, and that's
mm,
when they realize, oops, I messed up.
I see, I
But by
see.
then, it's already going to cost you thousands.
Okay,
It's
all
already going to
right,
cost you
yeah.
thousands to clean the books and answer IRS letters.
Yeah, that's the great advice, instead of like, some people say, oh, save little and then you pay big later, like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't want to pay this and that, and
Yeah.
you and end up at the end they just pay, have to pay like the cause of the problem bigger
Yeah.
than instead of like doing right in the beginning, pay, yeah, hire the expert that they know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
then that it can be, you can focus on building the business. Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think there's a correlation between taking care of your health
Uh-huh.
and taking care of the health of your business finances, because we all fear
Mm-hmm.
judgment. We
Mm-hmm.
all fear that, oh, I'm so embarrassed that I messed up this, and I don't want to call somebody and have to tell them I don't know what I'm
Message.
doing.
Yeah, okay.
And then same thing with the doctor or the dentist. Oh, I haven't taken my pills for almost 20 months.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're gonna find something in my blood test, and you're embarrassed that you didn't know how to take care of yourself, or you couldn't, or you didn't,
Mm-hmm.
because you were prioritizing work and something else. So it's almost feeling that having the same feeling as going to the
Mm-hmm.
doctor and then going to an accountant saying, I haven't really been focusing on this because it's not important and it doesn't bring me any money, so I'm not going to focus on my books,
Mm-hmm.
on your accounting, right? So but when you do have employees, that's when you have to get your stuff together,
Okay.
because then you have to answer to more other agencies other than the IRS.
Mm, okay, all right. That's a great. Thank you so much. And beside founder and CEO, you are the author, like the book, and the extraordinary Latinas. So this is your legacy for your next generation. And what else you build for your kid, your children, for beside the book or the company that you built for them.
Well, I wasn't, well, the reason I started with my business was to really just be able to build a little bit more opportunities for me and my son. I wanted to be able to be home and
Mm-hmm.
work
Okay.
while I took care of my son. And I wanted to show him by example that no, nothing is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, but nothing is, you can reach anything that you want to do. And he has seen that now,
Mm-hmm.
through all the challenges that he's seen me suffer through, getting clients, just running around to events and meetings, and writing the book, and all these things that I would ask my son to do for me, even if it's just storing files or
Uh-huh.
picking up something from the post office or
Right.
certifying something. He has seen the amount of level of importance that
Mm-hmm.
my business was. He would never want to do what I do.
Mm.
He wants to be a mechanic. That's completely different.
Okay.
But he is very interested in learning how to operate his own
Mm.
mechanic place one day. So
Okay.
that's the part that he's interested in, and that's the part that I will be supporting him.
Sure, sure.
As far as the book was a completely different purpose.
Mm.
I wrote the book. Finally decided to write it for myself.
Mm.
It was
Okay.
really more of a closing the chapter of my life
Mm.
type deal.
Sure, sure.
Um, but I wanted to write it for a lot of the women that have gone through um, the I'm doing it on my own, you know,
Right,
type of
right.
life. Uh, like I said, I didn't have a lot of support from my own family. I didn't have support from anybody really.
Mhm,
The only seeds I that were planted in me were the only ones that grew from
mm,
when I was in school. Like I said, it was my friends, my mentors, teachers that just planted a seed in me when I was little.
mm,
And as adults, you meet those special people and those special friends who encourage you. And because you don't hear it that often,
mhm,
how often do you hear somebody telling you, "Hey, you could do anything you put your mind to it, or
mm.
you could do it. I see potential."
Right,
And that's
right.
what I used to get a lot when I was in my 20s and 30s. That, hey, I see something in you. You could do whatever you want.
Mhm,
And and I kept on going back to that every time I had an idea. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. So when I wrote the book, I really did it more of a a part of my journey of healing and just finishing that up.
mm,
Through the coaching that I received from Carolyn Litton, she helped me through a lot of my processing
mm,
and letting go, and really just building up my vision for myself and reaching more of where I wanted to be and being the person that I want to be,
mm.
or who I was meant to be all along. And I
Okay.
feel that I have reached that.
Okay, that's great. So, it's mean like this that the legacy, like from your own story to just share it with other people.
Hmm.
Because you mentioned about like your son, he have his own dream and it's
Right.
just fully support. And now I got it, like you are resilient and anything is from your mother, like,
Yeah.
from her to taking a chance, like risk and come to United States and then bring you and then everyone like your sibling to come here. That just like it built in you, that's the legacy that she passed to you, that to being like be able like, if my mom can, you might not recognize or realize, if my mom can move from Mexico to US,
Yeah.
that it mean like it's built in you that, oh, if other people can do it, why not me? When you
Right.
mentioned about like people have a house, hey, how have this, have that, why not me?
Yeah.
So that I feel like that legacy that your mom passed it to you, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I guess like you said, it was kind of by example.
mhm,
She did it. She overcame her challenges by
mhm,
example, and she
right.
made hard decisions to save herself and us. To try to raise us as
Mhm.
as normal as possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a kid. So, yes, I know this book is like, it's a lots of story of Latinas extraordinary.
All right.
So you plan to release your own book, like your own book, and then something like this? Are you
I haven't
planning?
really thought about it too much. I do talk about a second part.
Mm-hmm,
I believe that it will be a little bit more down the road.
mm-hmm,
I'm still kind of reassessing the alignment towards it.
mm-hmm,
My son is writing his own story,
mm-hmm.
and
That's
I'm
good.
allowing him to do that. So I'm gonna allow him to branch out of the book story.
Mm-hmm,
I think it's very unique. Is it's very it's an amazing story, and so I think that I'm going to let him tell his own story.
mm-hmm. Okay, so yes, about the story, about the, you uh, pretty much, for me, when looking at about the new identity, and like you, was it your old identity and then was it your new identity that you can think of, like after going through so many chapter in life?
So I feel like I went through a few versions of me,
Mm-hmm,
and I call them, you know, my first life, my second life, because I was a completely different person in my initial life, and then my young adult life,
mm-hmm,
and as an adult now, as an adult, well, of course I'm an adult, but as a different version of myself. I think it's more of the healed version of myself, and that has allowed me to be, um, or at least to realize how far I have come.
Mhm.
The old me was the scared me. That was my old me. I did a speech at an event about fear, and it made me realize that the old me came from fear.
I see.
The foundation of the old me, fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being seen. And so that's what I focus on my book is there are a lot of us that are not being seen because they categorize us as, oh, it's just another person, blah blah blah. It's just another blah blah blah, right? Whatever you want to call it. But I didn't want to be that, just another person, because I knew inside I was in there, and I was just trying to get out.
Right.
And so when I was building my imagination and my vision and finding myself is when I took that leap of faith with Caroline, and when we traveled to Guatemala, and she put me through this whole process that I think I needed to break in order to heal.
Ah,
You know,
okay.
when you break a
That's it.
nose and you want to heal the nose, you got to break it again, right?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
think I went through that process,
Wow.
and it was painful. It was painful, but it was very necessary. It was very necessary to face the pain so you can be aware of it, recognize it, and be able to understand why it came to be, and how you can let it go.
Okay, that's a beautiful, that's a great way to say, like, to break to some fear, some challenge, because I noticed, I realized, yes, that the fear, the challenge that we have, that's a blocking us from become a new identity.
Sure, sure.
And I remember, same thing when I met Carolyn, and I didn't realize I have so many, I would say, pretty much for me, I don't believe in myself, because I share with her the story that I met with so many leader, like top leader of the countries, and Carolyn and Jenny. We have a coffee and then we sit and talk, and she said, "Girl, you are you are powerful. You have a great story. Believe in yourself. Step in your power."
Yeah, yeah,
And
she
then,
says that a lot.
yes, and after what she said, yes, that when I look it back, I say, yes, I always, I love to admire people who like this a great thing, like always, like, take lead, they become a leader, like doing the great thing. But I forgot to admire or say to myself,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I forgot to like recognize my own power. So that's very important. Like at that moment, it helped me step into my like, oh, my old identity. I would say not praising or pleasing or other people so much.
right.
I always admire,
Sure.
and there's a story, one story about this. I met with a chef, I was be waitress at his restaurant. He's a chef, and then he coming from like the bottom, like dishwasher guy, and then he owned the restaurant. He
Mm-hmm.
become Michelin star. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
learned about his story, and I said, no, that's not what I believe. It's totally different when you learn about someone's story, and then
Yeah,
that
you
what
humanize them a little bit more when you learn their challenges,
right.
and the trouble that they went through.
Exactly, yes. So yes, and that the story of the we have to leave our old identity and then start build a new identity, especially when you move from another country to new country. Of course, you cannot stay with your old version. You have to, or even every situation, new place, new workplace, we have to play a new identity, new
Yeah.
version in order to be to grow. I would say that yes. Okay.
You know, you just said something interesting that reminded me of sharing was when we were talking about starting your own business
Mm-hmm.
and the challenges and things like that. I wanted to bring this up because I don't know if it's talked about enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is when you have a 9 to 5 job and you're
Mm-hmm.
an employee somewhere in a company or organization,
Mm-hmm.
corporation for
Right.
whatever years, um, you have that tendency of being an employee.
Mm-hmm.
So your mind and your brain structure
Mm-hmm.
is already set because you've already been molded to be the employee for company ABC.
Okay.
But when you're walking out into the world, a big world,
Mm-hmm.
as a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
you're nurturing this little business idea, this idea that you have to sell.
Mm.
And under someone else's roof,
I see. I see. Yeah.
it's easier because it's already done, obviously, right? But then the mindset, the challenge, the true crack in the brain challenge
Uh-huh.
is when you realize you're not an employee anymore.
Uh,
You're on your own. This project is just you. Your
mm-hmm.
name's on it. No one's gonna approve it. No one's gonna tell you you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have to keep your mind open and
Mm-hmm.
break out of the box
Right. Right.
completely,
Sure.
because there is no box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have the universe to to the opportunities and the imagination.
Right.
So imagine someone already in the universe working your
Uh-huh.
business and succeeding in it and scaling. And imagine that brain that grew so big
Uh-huh.
being pushed back into a box.
Right. Okay.
Just imagine that. It's not going to fit.
No, yes, absolutely. That's
So,
my example.
what do you got to do?
Okay.
You have to make the box bigger
Uh-huh.
or break
Yeah.
the box.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll get to know yourself. This is not your space, your space. And then yes, I have many experience from time to time, like even thinking about, you in the business world, and then you go back to some kind of like in the box in the corporate world. It's like, oh, to work with somebody like tell me what to do. Oh, that's my
Yeah, yeah.
challenge. Same thing, like when I look at I can apply to my relationship and with my husband, or any like friendship, anything that can work related. So can be something like, okay, I put myself in the box. Is it fit me, or I gonna break it? So it's good to get to know ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
that it fit for us or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why the employee mindset
Mm-hmm.
could be very dangerous, but it can also be a good thing
Mm.
because it's like do you know Alan Stern?
Oh, yes, yes.
Everybody knows him, right?
Right, right.
So he has this what's it called? The best employees, the best employee is not on your payroll or
Uh-huh.
something like
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
He
Yeah.
says that a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's the best employee, he couldn't be an employee because he was the best one.
Mm.
So have you heard the term where they say the best employee always quits
Right.
because he can't fit in there
Mm-hmm.
anymore, or she
Exactly.
can't fit
Yeah.
in there
Yeah.
anymore because that person already exceeded their
Mm-hmm.
capacity
Mm-hmm.
of being put in that box. They already broke the box
Exactly.
and they're out.
Yeah.
That's why they're not, they can't be an employee anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
have bigger and better things to do. They have a
Yeah.
bigger vision.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I agree with that. So same. I was in network marketing company. So and I work with so many leader. And then when you in network marketing company, like people in that world, and you join the company, and suddenly you see the leader leaving, because most of people who join the company because of sometime because of the leader. And
Mhm.
then when the leader left, that caused them to lost to be lost, and then they cannot go anywhere. They said
Yeah.
they always saying, yes, those they sharing the experience said, yeah, once you reach some kind, like the level that you cannot
Yeah.
grow anymore, you move to the new one, so you can grow, help other company
Yep.
growing. So that make it people in the network marketing. They
Yeah.
who a new one, they don't understand. They said why they're leaving us. So in network marketing company, it's like you come to learn the business and leadership and also on any
That's a good
skill.
point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to confuse employees who quit their job because they were so great they quit. There are bad employees that leave
Right.
for the exact same reason you just said, is they're leaving the leadership, and someone who doesn't fit in the idea of the new ideas or a new way of leadership may not fall under the right leadership.
Yeah.
So if I came in, or if I had my new ideas of how to create or build a new leadership, and I'm working with employees who have this box in their mind, right?
Right.
And they can't understand the idea because they've been in that box for so many years, you know.
Right.
They can't handle it, so they leave because they rather leave than to face a new idea, you know.
That's a great thing too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, that's terrible to bring it up, but the saddest thing I ever heard was the story about uh, that that child back in the 60s, I think, that was they grew up in the closet, or chained for years, and she didn't know how to talk, she couldn't walk, so her mannerisms, she never lived with anybody.
Right.
So when they let her out, she was never going to live a normal life because she was always in that room. She couldn't talk, she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk. And so it's like, that's how deprecating that is, being in a four walls, and your mind is the same way. You're so locked into thinking a certain way that you can't invite the light in to bring you a new idea, or a new idea for change.
Okay. All right. Yes, that's great. Thank you so much. And
Yep.
yeah, this was a great talk. And thank you for being here and share your story.
No, thank you for inviting
And
me.
yes,
I appreciate
thank you.
you.
Yes, too. Yep.
God bless USA and Des Plaines, Illinois. Today we play volleyball. Tomorrow we buy gold jewelry.